Oh boy, it's all done. The springs are hanging, and I've kind of got this mocked up here to show you guys that this thing's gonna be low, really low. I think it's going to be a productive weekend. Greg's already over here working on Gramps, cleaning it up. Already got all the scale off of here with the wire wheel. This thing looks, I don't know, it looks pretty awesome how clean this frame is. It's like, I wasn't expecting that. I mean, I knew it was clean, but still. Anyway, he's got some KBS coating stuff on it. That's he's cleaning right now. I've got a couple other things going on, but I think today's video is going to be mostly about the Dakota. But I am going to make another video, hopefully this week as well, about the Sonoma, because we got some parts for it as well. And we've decided to go to Radwood, Austin. Already bought tickets, and well, I want to take the Sonoma. Greg's got a couple options. I only have one option, so I've got to get this thing fixed. All right, yeah, so Radwood for the Sonoma. Now it's time to put the Dakota back together. And we've got all the parts to do this. So if, let me catch you up real quick if you haven't seen any of the previous videos. We had pulled the rear end out of this, the rear suspension out of this, and then I cleaned it all up, painted it, and boxed in the section of the frame back here on both sides. And I did that for some rigidity and some strength. So we're going to be installing this rear end in place of the old one. This is a Ford 8.8 limited slip 373 out of a 96 Explorer with disc brakes already on it. So we're doing a pretty big upgrade because I think I'm at the limits for the Dodge Dakota rear end. It's an 8.25, got a locker in it. I've been 164 60 foot on it, but without some custom axles and getting really expensive with it, I kind of think I'm at its power limit for the most part. 8.25s are usually really good rear end, Mopar rear ends, but the Dakotas have like 27 spline axles. And so if you're going to be changing axles to a different spline, then you're into a carrier, and then you're into some money. So let's go ahead and go with something that's a little bit more affordable, which is the Ford 8.8 rear ends. So I got this whole thing out of the junkyard for $200. I will put the video where I pulled this thing out of the junkyard in the description below in case you ever want to go nab one yourself. It seems to be in good working order. We're not doing a whole lot with this today. What we are going to do is install the rear springs, suspension, and get most of the Caltrac stuff put on. So yeah, I kind of already came out with it. I have bought some Caltrac suspension for the back of the Dakota. The only thing I didn't buy were shocks, because we're going to have to get it on the ground to do the measurement of the shocks. So I haven't bought shocks yet. That's to come. But let me show you what I did get. These are Leafspring. These are split mono leafs from Calvert Racing, and they're specifically for drag racing. And it's going to pull a whole bunch of weight off the back of the truck. And they're real rigid as far as spring flex and stuff like that. There's a lot of science and stuff that I don't understand, but I know that they're going to be good. On top of that, they're going to lower the truck 1 inch. On top of the springs, we also have some Belltech Leafspring hangers that I bought, actually used, off of somebody that never used them. These hangers move the spring mounting location up 3 inches from where they previously were. So all in all, previously the Dakota had 2-inch lowering blocks on it, and so this is going to be about 3 inches lower than it was previously, because it's about a 5-inch lower altogether. I think I said 3 inches. Those actually moved the spring hanger 4 inches, if I remember right. So it's going to be a lot lower to the ground. Anyway, that's what I'm getting at with these hangers, these leaf springs, a lot lower to the ground. And then we have our Calvert Racing Caltrack kit, and that's what's all right here. You got your brackets that go under the U-bolt of the rear end. You've got your actual link bars, and then your brackets here. Now, what I found out is because I ordered springs, the diameter of the spring eyelet is a little different for Gen 1 Dakotas, and since I ordered springs, they upgraded to the Gen 2 Dakota ones. So these are actually 5111 part number Caltrack bars, and if you look it up, that says it's for like a 96th up Dakota or 97 up Dakota Gen 2 stuff. And I called them and they verified that. The only thing is, these are for low profile, and I thought I ordered the regular ones. And the difference is you have two different ways to mount the front hanger, and you know where it goes, and that changes the trajectory of these guys. So you can either mount it to where it's horizontal to the ground, or mount it to where it's a little bit angled up. These automatically do the angled up. Not generally a problem. Apparently that is desired when you are running a radial, which I'll be running because it bites the tire a little bit more. It hits the tire a little bit harder, which that's fine. However, I am gonna have to make some modifications first. And thanks for somebody out there. I'm sorry, I don't remember your name. I will put it down here somewhere. But he commented and sent me some pictures of the modifications you have to do to make this work. So let me show you the limitations here. This spring hanger, or goes around the spring, is supposed to go in this hole here. Well, we are limited because it's hitting the back right there. So I'm going to have to take these Belltech spring hangers, cut a little bit out of them so that all that will fit and it won't get in the way. And that's the first thing we're going to do in this video. So that was probably a really long introduction. I'm gonna go look at Greg and see how he's doing. He looks like he's doing good. And we also got parts in from Gramps, turbo parts, important parts. So we got a lot to do this weekend. We're gonna get started. All right, so you have my highly accurate way of marking how we're gonna cut this. In theory, I've got this side, right, the metal side, on top of the bracket so I can sit the nut down here. So I've kind of got it eyeballed to where it's centered up here. So I then ran a piece of tape that goes above the top of the nut and then about half an inch further up. From there, I rotated this, which this is extreme. So I'm rotating this towards the front. It's probably not going to go near this far because it's going to be limited by this, by the actual Caltech bar itself. But I went ahead and marked up here so I know how far that travel is. And then I did it the other way as well. I moved it back the other way, kind of eyeballing everything again. And that's the max it's going to go. It'll never move that far either, because it just, again, this is going to limit it, or the pin's going to limit it. So that's not anywhere close to being concerned about. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to mark it, and I'm going to tear it all apart, and then I'll measure everything out, and we'll transfer it to the backside. Sorry, quick detour. Greg's got the KBS cleaning solvent on it. He's letting it kind of air dry now, and then he'll hit it with the I think they call it rust blast, but it's like a etching solution. There's really no rust on this truck. You guys in the north have our condolences, but we live down here in Texas where our trucks look like this. Sorry, that's just what it is. And we still have to etch it, and then it'll dry overnight, and then we're going to he's gonna use the KBS coating frame coater on it, and it's gonna look fantastic. clean the firewall up, and then it's assembly time for Gramps. So also he said you're gonna get the transmission rebuilt. Yeah, he's got a 4L hopefully by May, and we'll be getting this thing kind of put together. We'll probably use my transmission in my truck to kind of get everything located for both trucks, since we're going 4L80 on both of them. Anyway, yeah, I'm gonna get back to this real quick. Before I show you guys how to cut all this, I just need to correct something. I'm about to tell you the wrong dimensions. This top line is 3 1/4 inches. This lateral line here, or vertical line, is 1 1/4 inches. Not what I show you on the other one. That would be incorrect. Also, before we start cutting these, you're going to create non-symmetrical cuts. So for example, this front line is going to be up front on this one, and then you're going to have a little bit more meat on the back on this one. So this is driver's side, this is passenger side. Previous to this, these were unidirectional. They'll bolt on either side and be fine. Now we're going to make them directional. If you do mess up and you cut the wrong one, or you cut them the same way, you can always just cut a little bit more and come down. It's not going to hurt anything. But I just wanted to preface that, so let me show you guys how I cut them while I cut this second. So I've done some measuring. This will be for the driver's side. The front is a little bit more close to the bevel here, but I did measure it out. It's about 4 1/2 inches across this way, and about 1.5 inches this way, and I think I'm going to be good. So I'm going to go ahead and make that cuts. I can't really tell you how to measure this other than just kind of mocking it up yourself and playing with it and getting it right. But these are the measurements I think I'm going to work with, because there's not going to be that much movement with it. So let me get the angle grinder set up and we'll get this cut. Alright, back to the dirty, messy table of doom. I went and grabbed the little isolator that comes with the Caltrack kit. And this is obviously the Caltrack front link. And put it in place, right? Try to get it as flat as possible. Got the bolt for the Belltech kit for the to mount that Leafspring. So I'm going to put it in place. Kind of. There we go. And now that should be just fine. There will never be that far down because the Leafspring is going to mount right there. So cool. I'm going to go with it. It looks good to me. Got to do the other side, and then we can mount everything. So let me do the other side quick, and we'll get back after it, and we'll get back after an update on Gramps. Yeah, there's some acid in it. Look at Gramps. It's like the metal is so blingy. I'm not sure why. But Greg is putting the rust blast on it, which is like the it would convert any rust that was there to carbon. But there's really not a lot of rust to worry about. But what it also does is it etches the metal. So he's gonna spray it all on the frame. Yeah, it's got some acid in it, and it also has some like zinc coating in it. So I'll spray this whole thing down and kind of keep it wet for 30 minutes, and then we'll rinse it off with water, and then overnight it'll dry, and then we can coat Gramps tomorrow, and that means the cleaning part's done pretty much, and we can get to assembling Gramps. Speaking of assembling, I went ahead and worked with Greg, and we put our spring hangers on. I didn't really film it because it's pretty self-explanatory, plus I welded in these plates. You can see the other plate over there if you don't know, for rigidity and structure, especially when we do a roll cage. But what I did is I realized that made it hard to get to these bolts. Luckily, it's kind of hard to see, but there's a hole in the frame right here, and I was able to get a wrench up in there and get all that done. It's not really something I could have showed you, and if you're not boxing in the frame, it's not going to be a problem at all. But the it comes with hardware, and you know, bolt and washer nut on the other side, torque them all down to 125 foot-pounds. So we got the front, we got the rears. I put the wrong one on earlier because I had clearanced, remember I clearanced these things. So this one has the notch more forward than backwards, but that's all good. That's all done. The rears are on. I'm missing 2 nuts that I'm gonna go have to get from the hardware store, but I think we can continue with what we're doing with hanging these leaf springs. So another thing that I bought online, you can just buy them for any Dakota, are a new set of shackles, and I didn't want to really mess up replacing the bushings, so I just bought new shackles. So I'm gonna look at what it takes to kind of put these leaf springs together here, and we'll follow up with you when we start hanging them. And yeah, we'll almost have the leaf spring and the rear suspension back on this truck. Let's just get to hanging these leaf springs. It's going to be a temporary install because we still have some work to do on the rear end to get it ready to kind of put in place before we get everything completely buttoned up. So we're not going to torque everything down, but I do want to hang the leaf springs, kind of get them in place, because we're going to need to do that to do some checking. I am finding out that we're missing a little bit of hardware from the kit, but I bought the kit used. Not a big deal. I can go get that stuff later. But let's start off with the leaf spring. I've got it kind of hanging out up here. So if you are not replacing your leaf springs, you're going to get this bushing from Calvert Racing, and this bushing is very, very important. I'm not sure if you guys can see it, but it's an aluminum bushing, and this actually goes inside of this aluminum bushing. Problem with that though is this is steel and this is aluminum, and they can do some thing called galvanic corrosion. And if you watch my Ram Charger versus Ryan versus the water pump bolt, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. But we're gonna take the supplied grease and lube it up. All right, this is the front like hanger for the cow track, and I actually already have the bushing in here for this side. Well, sticker should face out for the side that you're using, and you kind of take where the pin is and you put it over, and I'll just kind of let that hang while I apply liberal amounts of grease. I must not have opened that very wide. And I'm just gonna slide it in, line it up. Can you see them there? Yep. Slide it in. There we go. All the way in. Bingo. Here we go. Okay, because of the length of this bolt, I'm going to put the shackle on down here first. Might be easier anyway. There it goes. Hot damn. Hot damn. Oh boy. It's all done. The springs are hanging. And I've kind of got this mocked up here to show you guys that This thing's gonna be low, really low. And I'm not sure if we're gonna have interference with the frame. So, I've got to figure that out. I'm still gonna mock up the rear end so it can roll around and kind of make some plans from there. I've got an offer from a friend to maybe help me out to C-notch it if we want to do that. I don't know yet. I will say I'm glad to have it kind of have suspension again. But we'll get it all figured out. We'll also come over here and took a look at Gramps because the prep settled up overnight and now it's not shiny anymore. It's all zinky. And Greg's ready to coat this thing. And then Gramps will be ready to start assembly and can really get after it. He did a great job cleaning this thing up. And we're excited about that. So we're finally making progress on many things. And this evening, after I get some time, we're going to start working on the Sonoma. Pull the intake manifold top and bottom off of here. Put a new fuel injector in it, which we think that's what's wrong with it, but I'll go into that in the next video. So yeah, let me know if you think that's too low. If we're gonna need to C-notch it. I guess we're gonna find out. I don't know how much that spring will compress with the weight on the ground and then how much it's going to move. I guess we're gonna find out the hard way and go from there. Neighbor's firing up his car, so you're probably gonna hear a car in the background, but it's okay. Anyway, all right, that's it. We're gonna shut it down. Greg's gonna finish coating his frame, and then I'll show you guys an update on that in the next video as well. So thanks for coming along. Cars are getting ready to go back on the road. Springtime, getting them ready for summer. We're gonna have a great time, and we're going to Radwood with this, if I didn't tell you all that already. Anyway, all right, until next time, you know the deal. Y'all be good.